How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today I'm going to tell you everything wrong with my cheap Fast and Furious Lamborghini Murcielago. So make sure to grab a drink, get some popcorn, because this is going to take a while. So if you guys are new to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy it because this is probably my most ambitious project, my most expensive project yet. This is my 2003 Lamborghini Murcielago, and it cost me the princely sum of $80,000. Now this is more money than I've ever spent on a car ever. And if you look at all the cars behind me, you realize that they're not exactly cheap. I mean, they were the cheapest ones in the country, but you know what I mean. So when I decided to have all these cars under one roof, I made sure that they were as safe and secure as possible. So that gives me a great opportunity to thank and introduce today's sponsor, Simply Safe Home Security. So if you guys don't know what Simply Safe is, it's an incredibly effective and reliable home security system. And one of the things I love about the system is the fact that it's super easy to install. In about half an hour, I had everything in my garage hooked up, including door sensors, motion sensors, a camera, even a keypad, and a smoke sensor because, as we know, my cars are a little bit prone to fire. So the system comes with a lot of really cool, really thoughtful features like this smart doorbell and this wireless key fob. And it's also ready for anything. If the Wi-Fi goes out, if the power goes out, everything is wireless, everything has its own power supply, and it works beautifully. And if something does happen, it has 24/7 monitoring, so it notifies police or the fire department right away. They have super fair pricing and no contracts and no hidden fees. So go check it out at simplysafe.com/Tavarish. That's simplysafe.com/Tavarish. Go check it out right now. So here she is in all her glory. She looks pretty good on camera, but I guess that's why it wasn't a movie. Now, I am not the person that should be looking over this car. I don't really know much about these Lamborghini Murcielagos. I don't have any experience with Lamborghinis at all, if you count that one. These are all new to me, so I don't really know what I'm looking for. However, I do know a guy that does know what he's talking about when it comes to these things. Before I had this car in my shop in Florida, I had this car in another shop in California. And you guys might know that shop. It's called AGX. And the guy is, well, let's go back in time and I'll introduce you. This guy. So you might know him from a channel called DDE. He's been on plenty of other channels. His name is Mark, also known as Gutter Snake, and he runs AGX, Avant-Garde Exotics, and they deal with a lot of these sorts of exotic cars. You can say you could probably call these exotics, right?
You brought us the best one.
You said it. You said it. We actually, that's it. The video's over. I brought you the best one. That's it. Perfect.
Are you fixing this? This isn't going to be us fixing it?
I'm fixing this, yes.
Man, get out of here. There's nothing here for us. This car is perfect.
This car is perfect. All right.
Condition.
I'm a little bit nervous because I can see a lot wrong with this car right off the bat, but I want you to tell me a few of the things that need to be done on this car and if I got a good deal or not. Is that something that you could do?
I think we can. I think we can help yourself rebuild it.
Okay. So the door shock works. That's actually a big deal.
Dude, do you know how hard it is to get a color matched door shock to the actual body? Are
you making fun of my car?
We have only just begun.
I think this is not the stock color, correct?
We would believe otherwise. I don't think so. There's witnesses to it being yellow once in its life.
Okay, so it's definitely been repainted. I mean, you can tell it's been repainted here.
Yeah, they threw paint on it. When you sent me pictures of the car, the only thing that immediately jumped out at me that seemed odd, because pictures are great, but this is the part that gets the least amount of sun and anything ever. And in the picture you can see, wow, the car looks beautiful. Why is the door jamb so dingy looking?
This is a movie car. I'm not blaming anybody. This is, they had to do what they had to do to get the shot. That's what I'm thinking everything in this build was.
Obviously we know the safety equipment, everything's in it, but you bought a Mercy that runs.
Yeah, of course.
The rest is just...
Yeah, the rest is just gravy.
Making it look good.
So speaking of running, this engine, it does run, but it requires the use of a battery pack because I don't think the battery is good at all. So there's like no voltage at all, which is a little weird. I've never seen a battery with 0 voltage and does not charge even like 1 volt. So what do you think that could be?
I think we need to go underneath and see.
Let's go underneath and see.
you're missing the rocker fill panel.
Okay, so there's no panel right here.
There's no panel here.
Okay.
It just covers under your sump
You want
drain.
to know where your battery was?
Battery was.
Well, is.
Okay.
Keep going. Keep going.
Somewhere.
Keep going.
Oh, I see it. Okay. So that's an Optima.
There was a splash shield that went there.
Okay. I guess too much splashing went on. All right, so our lack. There's a lack of fluid in our rack. Yeah, so there's a leaky rack, and it looks like apparently these are you can rebuild these.
You're not gonna have to pay the Lambo tax on that.
Okay.
Hey, look, your car was once black, yellow.
Yeah, that means a lot of people love this car. All the different caliper colors.
There should be like panels everywhere here, correct?
No, this is open the way it is.
Okay.
Obviously, you're missing a couple rivets. This should be up here. Then the only other piece that's missing from the floor is just the front nose piece, which, as you can obviously guess why that's been ripped out. So.
Yeah, probably because they had to replace the bumper a bunch of times because they hit like some icebergs.
Yeah. And this should have been on the inside, but they swung and missed.
I'm pretty sure that's the least of our concern at this point. Now, what about the suspension? Like, does that look all right?
What we usually see is a lot of stress on the shock, lower bushing.
Are those stock shocks?
Yeah, they're still the originals. So it's actually not smashed out too bad. Obviously, this is where your lift system gets fed into.
Yeah.
We know that the lift system's low on fluid because the rack and pinion's leaking, and they're both fed from the same reservoir. So
Right.
your lift will start working a little bit better, but the shock is blown out the front. Front shock is blown. I would say the shocks are blown on this thing all the way around.
Okay, cool.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh, okay. I think that's probably due to shipping or something.
I was wondering why it didn't want to roll.
Yeah, that'll do it. As far as this, like the mounting points,
They all look pretty decent as far as even bushings go.
yeah, they're not the worst that I've seen. I do actually kind of like this the brake ducting here. I like that there's a nice clearance for some air to just escape. You don't want too much air in there.
Yeah, you don't want to create a vacuum because then no air gets in.
Yeah. You don't want brakes that are too cool. You know, you want them just in that right temperature.
I will have you know, the best part is that, although it's ripped right there, this isn't actually hooked up to anything anyway.
Oh, okay.
So,
What, like in the stock car or just in my car?
No, in your car.
Oh, okay.
On a real Mercy, a regular Mercy, this is real.
You're trying to say my car ain't real?
Yeah, this is.
Literally, there's just nothing connected.
The tubes aren't there.
It's connected to hopes and dreams.
It is connected to hopes and dreams. All right.
Should all be connected.
Yeah. So let's move to the back of the car, and right away we can see.
This is my favorite part so far.
Yeah. This is.
That's the hide key.
Yeah.
That's the Lamborghini.
That's where you. Yeah. In case you forget where you put your keys. You see that?
Something hit it.
Okay.
I'd probably throw a little
JV weld.
JV weld for safe measure.
What about the exhaust? I mean, it doesn't look horrible.
She's straight pipe. I don't see anything wrong with that.
It's the backyard's finest.
Yeah.
Well, what sort of exhaust is this? Do you know?
The muffler is probably a Quicksilver, a muffler delete. The other pipes are something that somebody whipped up.
Pipes are a good thing for Mercedes. Makes them sound good.
Makes them sound good. Do you think that this car sounds good?
I think it will once it's running good.
Okay, cool.
Once you've given it the love.
Yeah. I noticed that the oil filter has a decent amount of rust in it. That's not good, is it?
I'm sure in Iceland it's to be expected. So.
Okay.
Coach, the bearing's real good.
It's the inside rusty that you got to worry about. The outside. Not so much.
Actually, this is not that. This is pretty easy to change. It's a lot easier to change than the Gallardo.
I dare someone to find one that's harder.
All right, so these shocks kind of look a little past it. Look like they're weeping a bit. These are double shocks, which are cool, but also expensive.
Every problem times two.
Yep. So you got 4 like a trophy truck. Nothing seems super out of place here.
No.
It's not horrible. It just needs a little love and kind of putting back together. Now, there's like a rat's nest up here.
Hey, whatever this thing came with, you better leave with it.
This is just the
That's the brake cooling duct.
brake cooling duct. That's not.
Oh no, that's the alternator cooling duct.
Oh yeah. So this has a cooled alternator, an air cooled alternator.
Yeah, that's not supposed to go there. That's actually supposed to come and run inside this way, not on top of the caliper.
What are you talking about? Obviously, the brake rotor, centrifugal forces drives air up into the radiator or into the alternator
Except,
Right. I think this is a prototype from Lamborghini.
except
Dude, you
that
didn't
is
know that?
going
Come
up
on.
to the front over here that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They deleted the cooling duct with
whole
your
duct is gone.
with your super cool non-arrow duct.
You're telling me that that doesn't work? That my arrow does not work?
I like the louver.
Yep.
The Tyrannosaurus louver
Yeah.
there.
Especially if that goes into your tire, that's always good.
Yeah, totally. Well, as long as you're going forward, reverse might be scary.
Oh
It's
boy.
it's that baseball card in the spokes bar.
Well, what I've noticed is that there's not a ton of oil leakage.
That's the one thing that we are super pumped about for you is that
Yeah.
it seems that her bones are actually pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing is, I mean, hopefully it has oil. Maybe that's like all the oil just came out, but
Optimism is overwhelming.
Underneath here is where the rubber meets the road, but it's actually not bad.
also no frame damage to speak of.
This is
That's not frame damage. Okay, let's.
Well, the only challenge you're going to have really is that the differential is actually sitting on the frame. So when you call me from far away and go, the car has this nasty vibration, just know that's going to be an issue with.
Well,
It's
what
shaking the rafters.
so here's what I can do. I can cut this. I can section it, and then this could be a bolt-on piece, and I can just replace that.
Or you can just leave that and then never bolt the driver's seat in.
Yes.
And you won't know.
Just put it all on some rubber bushings. Yeah.
You'll never figure
Everything
everything
You
on
never
rubber
figured it out.
bushings.
So is this a cover plate, or is this like part of the frame?
This, my friend, takes you up to the control arm mounting hardware,
Ah,
so you can actually remove the control arm from the vehicle.
interesting.
So let's call it an access hole.
Access, okay. All right. Well, they pre-drilled it, so I don't have to make holes in the
They
car.
not only did they do that, but they made the span long enough that you could take a wrench from one end to the other, turn it around, and you'd still be able to get it. So this is actually wide enough to pick up every hex on the bolt.
Yeah.
And not have to do flips and all kinds of weird things.
Gotcha. So for those of you who don't know about this car, here's the engine, this long boy right here, but the transmission is actually behind the engine, well, actually in front of the engine if you're looking from front to back. It's basically sitting in the passenger compartment, and that's where you do all your shifting, and then that goes down this tube right here. The power goes down this tube and into the rear differential. Now this is a lot different than the Gallardo, where the engine was in front of the transmission, and then that put a tube to the front differential. So this is really, really complicated for, what this really is. I don't know why they did this, but they started with the Countach like this, right?
As far as the layout,
Yeah, as far as
layout,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, but you said LP layout. This is not an LP though. This is just
It's still an LP. It doesn't have a designation.
Yeah, it's
as
still
an LP 640.
Yeah.
But its layout is LP.
longitudinale posteriore.
Hey, what'd you say to me? Part of the Superleggera package is that half of the bolts holding the transmission to the engine are missing.
Okay, that's fine. That's
This one's
okay.
missing, that one's missing, that one, and I would imagine all the way over the top wheel housing, that one's missing.
It's probably because
couple of
this transmission has been off before.
Wouldn't be a bad idea to, I don't know, throw the nut on there, at least help it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think
But,
a half a dozen nuts will do it.
Yeah. So this was off because of the clutch job during filming, and they just kind of put it on there as fast as possible. So
They do it fast and furiously.
they certainly did it. Somebody's furious.
You first.
This is the hydraulic line for the clutch, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And is that a internal slave cylinder?
It is a throw-out bearing, a slave bearing. So let's
Okay.
call it an all-in-one.
Okay, so it's like the Gallardo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Same
so-
setup.
Yeah, great.
But they're not interchangeable.
Okay, that's even better.
It is until you find out what this one costs.
Yeah,
Then you'll wish you had that Gallardo bearing in here.
well, the Gallardo bearing, the original one was like $1,500, but then the other
More than that.
Yeah, it was more than that, but then the other one was
New
like
revision, $800.
Yeah.
This one, $3,500.
okay. Well, we're not going to change that. We're just going to run what we brung.
Here's your starter wiring that we saw that up on the top side.
Oh, is that not stock?
No, that's not stock.
Okay, all right. So let's take a look at that starter. Yeah, that boy right there. So that has some wiring. Is it good to have 14 gauge wire, operate a starter, or is that just the starter solenoid?
It's your trigger.
Okay, that's just the trigger. Okay.
I mean,
fine.
the fact that it's resting on hot stuff and probably gonna melt probably isn't the best idea.
Yeah, probably not, but you know, that's just how. That's
Why not live life on the edge?
that's movie magic. Movie magic, guys. Come on, come on.
So far, you've done real good.
Good. I mean, there's nothing really else that could screw this whole thing up, but
Well, the whole top side of the car.
listen, man, nobody wants your negativity right now, okay? I'm just
I'm positive.
please be positive. This car is very expensive. Actually, look at the radiator over here. It looks is that just a mounting point or
Yeah, that's your oil cooler.
okay. And that seems to be rusted, but just the mounting.
Well, this is just the mounting
Yeah,
bracket
yeah.
here. The fun part comes when you go to take these guys off and you find out that they've
broken off.
they've
Yeah,
committed to their relationship to the bracket.
that's okay.
And the grill that doesn't let any air into that cooler might be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you go on the outside, you can look at they put some kind of faux grill up in there.
That's gonna be your first summertime mod.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
removing that.
I do
It's gonna
like
be this.
that. That's a commitment right
That
there.
that's a JB Weld of some sort. That's like an
some
epoxy.
silicone.
Yeah, and then
Pull that out and
that goes into
trace it and do it again.
that goes into literally nothing. Well, I mean, listen, movie magic is movie magic. Don't you dare. I'm not gonna bag on the color. I don't think this is this a stock color actually?
It might be in the spirit of one of the Arancios.
Yeah, like a Roncio Atlas or something.
Yeah, Argus or whatever.
Yeah, so that's it's not a bad color. I just think the paint job was very rushed because obviously, you know, they have
It's a studio car.
Yeah, it's a studio car. This body kit is obviously not stock. You said it was a Premier 4509 or like a replica?
Well, it could either be one or a replica of it, but it's one of the two.
Yeah.
We'd have to kind of strip into it. When you get the bumpers off, you will see like a plaque inside.
Yeah.
If it is a legit Premier, but as we sit right now, we could just kind of go, oh, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
So I know that they made some of these in house. So
I don't think that any of the body kit is too far gone to be reused. I think if you're willing to put the time in, there's nothing hanging off or catastrophically messed up about it. So
yeah.
you know, with a little bit of TLC,
So is that where the stock?
that's where the tow hook would go.
Okay.
We'll have to make sure you have one of those.
This car will never get towed. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a very reliable car. Actually, are these reliable cars? I don't know much about these cars.
They are pretty reliable.
Okay.
You know, if you're willing to front load the work going into it, once you've got the work done, it's fine. You know,
Yeah.
and then you have to give it the Italian tune-up every
Okay.
once in a while.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Doctor's orders, you got to go out and be hard on it.
Yeah. That's what I'll tell the police. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, officer. I had to go a million miles an hour.
It's-
Some more tape, I guess, gaff tape or something.
Yeah, I don't. Sometimes I'm afraid to pull. It's like the tear in the sweater.
Uh-huh.
You just yank it.
It just keeps on unraveling. Should this have a splitter or something?
There was a flat element that went on it. We would have expected to see mounting, which kind of lends itself to you thinking that this is a reproduction of
Yeah.
the regular bumper.
But there are a lot of companies that make, you know, these reproduction bumpers, and it's not anything that.
It's not horribly expensive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not Lamborghini money for
Yeah.
you to get, you know, a replacement on these things.
Cool. So let's put this thing on the ground, and we'll go up top and just check what's wrong there. All right. So what can you tell me about this engine? Is it a good one?
I can tell you it starts and runs.
Okay.
I can tell you it looks like everything is connected. The only thing that we haven't really figured out is if it's air cooled.
Is that normal? Should that happen?
I think that there used to be, you know, stories back in the day with Countachs where you wanted to be able to see through the carburetors which one was actually running as the things backfire.
Yeah. So you can put your hand back there and just
Yeah,
turn
feel
the
which
screw?
one's cold still, but this one has a very, very rare window delete program.
Okay. So that's obviously because of this roll cage that was installed.
Yeah, the roll cage, which, you know, I do like the bolting two-piece roll cage. Which
What they told me was that when they were filming the movie, they launched the clutch. They killed the clutch, so they had to take out the engine, and the roll cage was in the way. So what they did was they sawzalled this in half and then just bolted this back on. It's actually not that bad because it's welded right here and welded down here. So
they actually did a pretty good job of making it not only one piece again, but somewhat serviceable.
Yeah.
Because if you unbolt it, it'll come back out again.
yeah. So that's not horrible, but I have to figure out what to do with that window maybe I could just box some section out and then make a window. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or I could just delete
definitely-
this whole thing, you know?
Considering the car has absolutely no catalytic converters or anything to protect you from fumes,
Yeah.
even if it's, you know, last week's laundry, stuff that hole with something because,
Well, I could just roll the window down.
yeah, I think somebody did. We just got to figure out how to get it back up.
How do you start this car? Because this car doesn't exactly start how it's supposed to start.
I think you should tell us how this car currently starts, and I will just shake my head
All right.
in disapproval of...
Dude, okay, it's movie magic. Let me explain to you how this works. So you put the key in. Actually, the key's permanently in there.
Yeah.
So the key is in the ignition. You just turn it to the on position, and you have to have a battery box because the battery's dead. And you put the positive to the positive and the negative to the ground. And there is a little starter button right down there. There's a starter button.
Turbo zoom on that finger there. All right.
Yeah, and that's how you start the car. So you have to have this up, and this is an AGX provided
edition.
thing. So this is probably a two-person job. So one person holds this up, and the other person does this. Not exactly the best when you want to start the car, but we're gonna have to figure that out.
What I think we found is the first hurdle you're going to have to cross is being able to get the key out of the ignition,
Yeah.
and then getting it to work to where it'll actually engage the starter. Because as it turns now, it just goes to on. It doesn't carry past that.
But is the key part, like, is the ignition switch part of the column? Is it, like, welded to the column?
No, it'll come out.
It'll come out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I can just get another ignition switch or something, and
You might fiddle around with that and find out what's wrong. I don't know that anybody paid enough attention where you'll be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah, most
kind of
likely.
make it work if you want.
We'll see.
And then you can do away with this. The other thing that you need to be mindful of on this car is you need to make sure that the alarm works.
Okay.
So in your travels, we put the fob with the key, but make sure that it's got a battery. I would imagine that nobody ever thought that, which is kind of probably how this whole starter button thing happened. They were able to turn the car on, but they never really got past the alarm system to start the car.
I'm wondering if I could use the actual, if I get that to turn to start, if that would actually work. I didn't know if they cut the wire or they just added the wire, they bypassed it.
Yeah, they just went in because they're not getting the trigger from the key.
Yeah.
But when we looked underneath at the starter, everything's still there. The trigger's still there.
They just put an extra wire
They just
in there.
ran it here basically to go hot off of the battery, or in this
Yeah.
case the jump box.
So basically I just have to take it off the positive.
Yeah, I mean you can just put this as a doorbell or something on there, whatever. You can repurpose it for something
Okay,
later.
sounds good. What I'd like to do now is maybe if we can get it started, get it kind of up to operating temperature and just see if everything's like all right.
I'm anxious to hear what this thing sounds like too. You know,
I am too. I have literally only like revved it once a little bit. I don't know what it sounds like with any sort of
can we
good.
send it?
You can send whatever you want. I don't know how much oil is in here. I have zero clue about how much oil is in this engine.
Well, let's make sure some oil is in here. Obviously, we have to, since it's a dry sump.
Yeah.
We'll have to check it after we've gotten everything up to temperature, but that's half the fun of it. So
Yeah.
make sure something's in here. Fun fact on Murcielagos, getting this dipstick out of here is an absolute horrendous nightmare.
I like that they put it in a really accessible place and gave you a metal cap so
Yeah.
so you can burn your hand.
You will be relieved to know that there is oil.
Well, the good thing is I can check the oil from inside the car.
Yeah, you can totally do that. I think that might be the hack to do this. Oh, wow. That really is nice.
Yeah. It's a little further. There we go.
Wow. That is a win. You know how most cars have gone away from having the dipstick?
Dude,
you can check it inside the car.
This is a DIYer's dream. That's what I bought. That's what I bought. Also, fun fact. This comes with the Lamborghini gas cap. This is a
quiz. How much is that gas cap?
on a Gallardo, $750.
Yep.
So $750 to $800.
$800 for a gas cap. Fire in the hole. Hey, no driver?
No driver. think the tone is something that I want to change. I don't really like the tone. I think it's a little too loud.
Yeah, it's pretty raspy. It's actually a little smaller displacement V6y sounding than a big majestic V12.
So to get it sounding like an F1, you just have to make the pipes the diameter a little smaller, and like you have to change around the X pipe or something.
A little bit of voodoo and witchcraft will make it all happen for you.
All right, so here's the question. I spent 80 grand on this car.
What did you spend on this car?
$80,000.
Okay.
Okay. How'd I do?
So you got, for $80,000, you got a Lamborghini that runs, and the doors go up?
Yes. Awesome.
I'd say you did good, man. I'd say you did really good.
Oh, awesome. I'm very surprised that you said that. But I have a Lamborghini. I have a real Lamborghini.
You have a legitimate Lamborghini.
Yeah, the Gallardo's not. It's a Lambo, but it's like an Audi.
You now have one to drive and one to arrive.
One to arrive. This one is going to be one to look at from like 20 feet away.
For the short-term future.
Okay, so that's going to be it for this episode. Definitely check out Mark, AGX, Gutter Snake on Instagram. AGX is an awesome shop. If you need to have any sort of exotic work done, he has an amazing shop. I mean, there's Lambos and Ferraris and even an NSX. Did you know that NSX was up there?
We know that if it wasn't for the NSX, every supercar would suck.
Okay, well, agree to disagree. So, definitely check him out. There's a lot of fumes in here, so I'm getting a little loopy. But if you like this video, consider subscribing and doing all that stuff. The next video on this car is going to be us back home. We're in LA right now, so the timing is a little bit weird. But we're going to be back home and taking this thing all apart and seeing if we can put it back together again. So, until next time, this is me reminding you guys that on cars like this Lamborghini, you guys need to wrench every day.